Hi beautiful people, and welcome back to my YouTube channel, and welcome if you are new. I am so happy to be here, and I am so happy that you guys are here today. Today's video is one that I've been wanting to film for a very long time. We are going to be talking about my favorite YA romances. Now, YA romance isn't really a genre that I read very often anymore, and the books that I'm going to talk to you guys about today are books that are kind of like my comfort books in some aspects. They're books that I read in high school that I remember so fondly, and I cannot wait to just like yap about them because they are so cute, and honestly they started my reading journey to where I am now, so I have to give them the spotlight they deserve. If you've been with me for a while, since the very beginning, you've probably heard me yap about these books probably too much because I did have a very bad habit in the beginning of my first couple videos just mentioning the same books. But I'm hoping that today this either like brings some fond memories from books that you read when you were younger or shows you a new book that you can pick up to become a new comfort book. But without further ado, we're going to talk about my favorite YA romances. Some are lower YA, some are a bit more upper YA leading into new adult, but I'll mention which ones those are. And as always, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to my YouTube channel. And let's hop right into today's video. It only feels right to start the video with this book, and it is My Life Next Door. This really ignited my love for reading in high school, and I have to thank my 9th grade English teacher who made us do 15 minutes of silent reading and allowed me to find this book. It is about Samantha and Jace, and they have the most cute and heartwarming love story. Now, Samantha's life is pretty cold and sterile in some aspects. Her mom's a politician, she's not often home, and Samantha finds herself wanting to be the perfect daughter for her mother since her sister is a bit of a rebel and is not really around very much. And with this comes being alone quite often and living up to her mother's expectations. Then moves the Garretts next door, and they are everything Samantha's family is not. They are filled with energy, joy, and laughter, and their house is just the most beautiful form of chaos and happy family. Samantha then takes to watching the family from her roof just to enjoy the love and joy that the family experiences, and one day Jace, one of the eldest Garrett boys, comes and climbs on the roof with her, and ensues a very tender love story, and he is almost her escape in some aspects from this life that she thinks that she has to lead because of her mom's reputation. Ultimately, something unthinkable happens and they have to navigate that situation, but honestly, this book is so cute, it is so heartwarming, and it is definitely been through it. Like, I don't think you can see on camera how kind of battered she is because she was tossed in my backpack for weeks while I was reading her, and have read her again and again. But this is just an adorable and comfort romance for me that is so tender, and I love these characters and I love the Garretts and their chaos. So this next book is probably one that I reread the most as an adult, simply because there is something just so nostalgic about this story that I absolutely love. It is Alex Approximately by Jenn Bennett. Now, this book is about Bailey and Porter. Now, Bailey and Porter have two co's separating them because they actually know each other from an online film chat where they are talking about movies and different films, and they know each other as Mink and Alex. Unbeknownst to Alex, Bailey then moves to his small town to live with her father as her parents are separated. Bailey then continues the ruse of being far away while talking with Alex and starts a job at a quirky museum in this small town where she meets Porter, who is a security guard. The two then have an enemies to lovers story. I say enemies very loosely because they are just rivals, and honestly sometimes you're like, Bailey, why are you mad at this man because he's adorable? But they work in this museum together, Bailey working at the ticketed office and then Porter being the security guard. I think that the tourist trap museum setting was so much fun in this book, and I also really loved the like summer vibes and summer job aspect of the story that was happening when they were working at this funky museum. I just remember falling into this story, loving the absolute summer setting, and though it has again been a little bit of a while since I read it, I have reread it quite frequently. Overall, it is just the cutest story between Bailey and Porter, and then also them being online talking about films as Mink and Alex. The next book that I want to talk to you guys about is one you've probably seen everywhere, and that is The Selection by Kiera Cass. Now, this was the first book that I ever read that I actually fell in love with. I read this series when I was in elementary school and then have reread it since, and this was also the series that got me back into reading in COVID times because I was like, I want to reread this series, and I love this book simply because it is what got me into reading, both when I was younger and then when I was more of a elder teenager, I suppose, and now a young adult. So this book holds such a special place in my heart. It is about America, and she is in this dystopian world where you are separated in a class system and you don't always get the opportunities that you wish that you could have because of the number that is assigned to you. Now, America gets the opportunity to enter a raffle of all of the young girls in Aaliyah to try to date the prince. Now, America does not want to do this. She actually has a love back home that no one knows about, she ends up entering it just to appease him. She ends up being drawn, obviously, because the story would not go anywhere if she was not chosen to compete in the selection to win Prince Maxim's heart. And this book, you're going to be slightly infuriated with America because she is slightly infuriating, but you're also going to love it because it's a royal YA version of The Bachelor. Like, it's so much fun, and it is just a story that will take you up and down through twists and turns, and you're going to be screaming at the character, but you're also going to be so in love with them at the same time. This is the first book in a trilogy. The next one is The Elite, and then there's also The One. This is just a very fun story, and I cannot wait, if you have not read it, for you to get into this book. The last truly YA book that I have to talk to you guys about is Things We Know by Heart. Now, I read this book with my friend Silka, and Silka actually read it to me as an audiobook on FaceTime, and we stayed up way too late. We were like living our best lives while she was reading this. Well, I think she was living her best life because I was panicking. I didn't know what was going to happen. And this book is going to tear your heart out, but it is also so beautifully written. So this book is about Quinn, and she unfortunately loses her boyfriend Trent in an accident in junior year of high school. And as a way to heal, she ends up reaching out to the recipients that get his organs. Now, everyone has responded to her except for the person who got his heart. And she really needs to connect with the person who got with his heart, but he is not answering. She then takes matters into her own hands to try to track down the person that received Trent's heart, and she runs into Colton. Now, Colton does not live too far away, so Quinn ends up driving to a local coffee shop to see if she can see him through the window, basically, and just get a glimpse of him, and then that will help her move on. Unfortunately, she has an accidental run-in with Colton, and they have an instant connection. The two then embark on a journey of finding fun and joy back in life while she's healing from the loss of Trent, and also Colton getting his life back after being extremely ill and needing a heart transplant. This book was so beautifully written. It will tear your heart out, and you will feel so many things, but you will also be so happy for these characters who have found comfort in each other's presence after such hard times. And it is just such an emotional read, and I was sobbing on FaceTime while Silka was reading it to me because I had to know what was going to happen and that everyone was going to be okay. Now, the next two books are upper YA to new adult, but when I looked at this author's website the last time I remember, I looked to try to see where they were writing and where they were putting this book, and she said that she writes between new adult and YA, she jumps between them and blends the kind of gap that would be between new adult and YA. So I was like, okay, sounds good. That's what I'm calling this book. It is Whatever Life Throws at You by Julie Cross. Now, when I first started my channel, I was absolutely obsessed with this book. And if you go back and watch videos, which I don't recommend because I'm so awkward, but if you do, you'll see me talking about this book constantly. And I always warn you about the cover because I know I'm recommending you a book that has a cover with people on it and you're going to be mad at me. And I'm sorry. This book is so, so good and holds such a tender place in my heart. This is about our main character, Annie, whose life gets uprooted when her dad becomes a pitching coach for the Kansas City Royals. She is 17. She's very successful in the track and field area, so she's worried that this school that she's moving to won't have that. It's also an all-girls school, so there's no boys, and the area that she's moving to is way too cold. She then runs into Jason Brody, who is completely off limits to her, who is the 19-year-old star pitcher that is coming up that her dad is instructed to one-on-one coach. Now, Brody's past is a little bit complicated with some interesting family dynamics, and he also has this kind of Playboy media attention around him, and the two embark on what I would call a beautiful forbidden romance. And honestly, this book was so much fun. It was so cute. The little sports aspect was really nice. It was lovely to see Annie kind of get settled and make friends and enter this new world, and also having Brody in her corner and standing up for her when some family dynamics get entered into the situation. Overall, it is such a cute and tender story, and I remember finishing this book and crying because I was so happy. This next book is also upper YA new adult, and it is Come Back to Me by Mila Gray. And I know the cover is gonna scare you, but honestly, this is such a tender, cute story between Kit and Jessa. Now, Jessa is the younger sister of Kit's best friend, and when Kit comes home from being deployed as a Marine, Jessa is older. Jessa is mature now, and she's no longer the fumbling little sister of his best friend. The two are tired of fighting whatever attraction is between them and embark in a forbidden romance because they cannot be seen together because Jessa's dad is a former Marine who would kick Kit's butt, and also the best friend aspect. So they have this very cute forbidden romance. Unfortunately, it only lasts for a little while as Kit must then go back and be deployed with her brother Riley. The two promise to be together and stay with each other while he is overseas, and that works until one day there's a knock at the door, and Jessa is faced with the realization that it's either her brother or her boyfriend who has passed in the line of duty, and you don't know which one. And so you're going to be panic reading this book, because the first chapter is that kind of her finding out that someone's dead, and then it jumps back to following this beautiful love story of Jessa and Kit over the summer. And this was the first book that I ever really read that had such sadness in it, where I was like, oh my gosh, not everything is lovely gumdrops and rainbows, and there is something horrible that could be happening. But it is a beautiful story. It is so sweet, and I love a good forbidden romance. So if you have forbidden romance recommendations, even if they're not YA, preferably if they're not YA, because I don't really read YA now, please leave them in the comments below, because I need a good forbidden romance. This book will tear your heart out, but also put you back together. Alrighty, so those are all of the books that I have to talk to you guys about today. Those are my favorite YA and upper YA new adult romances that I have read when I was younger, and then also reread as I was a bit older. Now, it has been a while since I have read some of these, but I remember them being the best of the best, the cream of the crop, my favorite YA romances. I hope that you were able to find a book that you found interesting, or I reminded you of a favorite book and you might want to go reread that. As always, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to my YouTube channel, and I cannot wait to be back here and talking to you guys again soon. Bye, everybody.